Ya bu manyak herif yine şey yapmış. $2.500 laptop almış.
For these broken laptops. Now it's time to see if I can fix them. This Razer laptop was worth over $3,000 when it was new, so we'll save that one for last and start with this Razer laptop. Let's open it up, see if it turns on, and see what's all wrong. This video is sponsored by the Ridge wallet. More on them in a minute. So let's see what happens when we press the power button. Oh, we do have a green light.
Nasıl green light?
It did. Oh yeah, there it is.
Oh, açıldı.
Okay. Got something on the screen. That's good news. Windows could not complete the installation.
Anlıyorum. Abi herifin bulduğu laptopa bak. Windows sıfırdan yüklesen çalışacak. Beleş para.
This would be a great time for me to mention that I have very little experience with software. I'm more of a hardware guy myself, so this should get interesting. Oh,
ya USB'ye takın yükleniyor işte.
We got an error code. That's actually good. That gives me something to go off of. So you'll need to use recovery tools.
En kötü
so before I take the back off of this thing, I'm going to get a USB stick with Windows on it and try and install Windows that way.
Harbiden format aç. 20 TL format at geçer yani.
I have no idea if I did all that right, but it is installing, it looks like. So I'm just gonna let this install and we'll see what happens. I am 100% sure there's a better way to do this, but what I'm doing is at least working. Okay, so this is the first problem I see since I've reinstalled Windows. It doesn't show any networks here, so I'm gonna keep going.
Wireless anteni sökülmüştür. Birisi büyük ihtimalle tamir edeyim diye içine açtı. Wireless anteni ilk çıkan şeylerden birisi.
And here we go. Good so far. Okay, let's check out this internet problem.
Ha, internet yok.
Yeah, it doesn't even see.
Veya şey olabilir. Fiziksel bir tane AirPlay modu varsa onu açmış olabilirler.
Internet. Okay, did not detect a properly installed network adapter. Let's see if it thinks there's any network adapters. Okay, it thinks all of this is here. Also has a Bluetooth problem here, which is interesting.
Bluetooth'la genellikle zaten Wi-Fi aynı.
Let's do a network reset.
Random tuşlara basıyormuş gibi hissediyorum şu anda da.
Nope. And now we're reinstalling Windows yet again. This time it seems like it's actually taking a little bit longer, so I'm hopeful that maybe it's installing everything that it needs.
Nedir random tuşlara basıyor?
That there's just a problem with the hardware on this. I'm hoping that's the problem because I
Yok,
really want to
donanımsal
open
bu
this thing
bence.
up. And here we go.
Yo,
It
çalıştı.
just found my network. This is great news.
Nasıl yükledin lan Windows'u?
This all looks great. We are connected to the
Windows'u
internet.
nasıl... Windows yanlış yükleyip wireless'ı yok etmek mümkün mü lan?
And I don't see any other problems with this. I will test this a little bit more off camera, but it looks like this Razer is fully fixed. Let's move on to this HP
Öyle bir şeyin olabildiğini bile bilmiyorum yani.
I'm not sure how to turn this on.
Hayır, driverlardan dolayı değil de Windows'u tekrar yükledi herif.
There we go.
Batuhan Black çok teşekkür Seraro'ya abonelik ettiğin için. Seraro 18 milyar canımsın. Ne buna açıldı bu?
Got set up. I wanted to save some time in the video by making sure Windows was all pre-installed. So the one thing I wanted to check on this is the charging system. We get 19.7 volts and 1.29 amps, which is great. Now it's fully powered off. Let's see if it charges now. Okay, and it does charge now. So the reason I sound a little surprised is I did...
Ya bu ne oğlum? Bunların hepsi çalışıyor.
Try and charge all of these.
Ne yaptı? Power tuşunu mu bulamadı satan herif? Bozuk diye.
Laptops up before the video started, just so then I didn't have to do that in the video. And this one wasn't charging when it was turned off. Clearly now it is. I'm thinking the battery was just fully charged.
Bataryası öldüğü için mi herif göndermiş? Arabanın küllü doldu. Verelim arabayı.
When I tried to do that test. So now I need to test and see if there's anything else I noticed that is wrong with this one. After this is fully updated, I'm going to test it more off camera and I'll come back to it if I find anything interesting. Let's move on to one of the larger laptops, this Acer Nitro 5. I know for sure there's something wrong with this one, so let's check it out. But before we do that, let's talk about the sponsor of today's video, the Ridge wallet. The Ridge wallet has over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and titanium. These wallets are so high quality that
sırf kazadan artmadı var ya. Kaza olmasaydı.
You can test drive them for free for 45 days. If you don't like it after 45 days, you can return it for a full refund.
Yani 3'tüm 3.
New favorites that Ridge sells, and it's a topographic map of Half Dome. Another thing I love about Ridge is they sell upgrade kits for any wallet available right on their website. And speaking of their website, you can go to my link in the description, ridge.com/tronicsfix.
3. sıradan düşmekte kötü oluyor. 3. sıradayım. 3. mü oldum?
Time to get a Ridge wallet for you or as a gift for someone else.
Bak 3. kupayı aldım. Baksana adam 0.15 almış.
Now I've actually already checked this computer and I'll show you what the problem is. So if I'm going to enter a password and I go to press the T key, nothing happens. Y works. U does not work. I works. O works. P does not work. So we've got...
Bir saniye ya. Ha bir dakika. Aa yanlış şeydeymişiz ya. Sahte Windows'taymışız.
a problem with the keyboard. I'm pretty sure the only thing that could be going on is something internally. So I think we finally have a laptop that we need to take apart. Okay, any sign of liquid damage? Now I've just been looking at the board a little bit closer and I think I might have found the issue. So look closely at everything you can see and see if you can spot what I spotted. If you look very closely, this is the ribbon cable for the keyboard. This tab is locked fully in. This tab, however, is not. That means that the connection between this ribbon cable and these pins that go to the board is probably not very good. So I'm going to go ahead and just push the cable in.
Yamuk duruyor
Lock
zaten.
this tab fully.
Halletti.
There we go. Make sure both of them are fully pushed down. And now let's see if that keyboard works. Okay, and this is the test. Does the T work? Oh no, it still doesn't work.
Keyboard çalışmayacak abi. Bence sıvı o.
Okay, well, back to the drawing board on this one. Now, as I'm looking at this area again, I noticed a very similar thing right here on this connection right here. This locking tab is also not locked. I'm actually going to unlock this, reseat the cable, and then make sure it is fully locked. To do that, I'm going to need to remove this battery so I can get to this ribbon cable right here. And then I'm also
Klavye kolay bu arada, evet.
Well, you see this white line right here? Usually that should be a little closer to this connector.
Kablo tamamen takılmadığı için mi?
See if that'll work. Okay.
Ya evet, kablo, yani şöyle söyleyeyim, en kötü durumda klavyeyi değiştir. Klavyeyi değiştirmek de $5 gibi bir şey bu arada.
That one is all the way in now. And fully seated.
En ucuz parça laptoplardaki. O kablo çıkmış bu arada. Yo. O kablo çıkmış bu arada. Ya.
That locking tab is fully down, so we should be good there. Okay, so what do you think? You think that'll fix it? Let's find out. Come on, work. Oh, no. I was hoping that was going to be a quick, easy fix, but clearly it's not going to be. And I see absolutely no liquid damage at all on the bottom side of this board, and no evidence of liquid damage right here on the bottom side of the keyboard either. So back in with the motherboard. So I actually just went ahead and reinstalled Windows just to make sure that there wasn't a problem with the installation or anything like that. So now let's check and see if we have these buttons working. Let's start with T, come on.
Öldü.
No.
Öldü. GG.
So I think at this point we just need to buy a new keyboard. I think it's probably the keyboard.
Abi uzatma, klavye al.
Software-wise, so I think really the only thing that's left is the keyboard itself. Now I don't have that part here yet, so let's move on to the Lenovo laptop. Once I get the part, then we'll come back to this one. And here we have a Lenovo Yoga C740.
Bu Yogalar da çok şık laptoplar. Allah için.
I know how to turn it on.
Sol üstte abi.
Button on the side. Okay, no power at all on this one.
Ölü.
Plug it into a charger and see what happens.
Bataryası ölmüş.
19 volts
Yogaların
and
klavyesi direkt hani
0.85,
ThinkPad almadan
amps.
ThinkPad
Now let's
klavyesi.
try and power it on. We've got a flashing power button. Oh, there we
Yanıyor.
go.
Çalıştı.
And it's charging at 1.48 amps.
Kafayı
Now, I
yiyeceğim,
actually
kafayı
tested this
yiyeceğim.
one before I started the video, and the power button would come on, but then it would just power right back off. So this is actually great news. It does seem to be staying on, so let's get Windows installed and see what happens. Now, as I'm looking at this one, I see
Ben bu
a
arada,
dent here.
bu arada düşürmüş. Ben şunu fark ettim orada İngiltere'deyken. Yani biz o kadar dertten dolayı o kadar böyle hani bir şey sikemlemek, kısa yolunu bulmaya alışmışız ki İngiltere'ye, Amerika'ya giden Türklerin hepsi çok rahat insan dolandırabiliyor. Ya o kadar rahat insan dolandırabiliyor. Hepsi salak gibi hissediyorsun yani. Biz alışmışız çünkü itlik götlüğe. Yani öyle bir alışmışız ki yani bu kadar salak olamazsın gibi düşünüyorsun. Evet ya, çok rahat herifleri kerizleyerek zengin olabileceğini hissedebiliyorsun ya. Hayat yormuş bizi. Yani zorunluluktan çakal olmuşuz. Mesela en büyük milletin çok şaşırdığı şeylerden birisi Ya mesela kapı olayı en büyük, yurt dışına giden Türklerin en çok yaşadığı şeylerden birisi. Kapıların hiçbiri bizimkisi gibi çelik kapı değil, böyle bayağı bildiğin omuz atsan açılacak kapılar. Harbiden mesela birçok böyle en zengin mahallelerden birisinde, mesela Chelsea'de çok zengin evler falan var. Yemin ediyorum şöyle vursam, kapıyı çalsam kapı açılır yanlışlıkla. Direkt tak diye vursam açılır kapı. Ama adam şey gibi düşünüyor, yani şimdi şöyle bir şey var. Bir yanındaki komşu veya başka bir yerdeki adam bir ay çalışıp o eşyayı zaten alabileceği için onun yerine bir yıl hapis yatmayı mantıklı bulmuyor. Onu düşününce üzülüyorsun işte. Yani adam için çalmak mantıklı bir seçenek değil. Hiçbir manası yok çünkü.
And a dent right on the other side as well. So it is possible that the reason this one is put in the salvage
Bizde de
box
tam tersi mesela. Adamın 10 yılda çalıştığı şeyi bir ayda çalabiliyorsun, bir ay yatıyorsun.
that I bought is because of these dents. Also, similar thing right up here on the top case and right over here. So this one might actually work fine, and it could be just because there's dents here. So far, absolutely no problems other than those dents on the case that I've shown already.
Oh,
And after
iyilik çok
getting
teşekkür, 10
this
tane abone
Lenovo
hediye ettiğin
Yoga all
için.
set up and doing
Neden?
some basic tests on it,
Aman.
I see no problems. I'll
Huggies.
test it a little bit more off camera. But for now, I'm going to consider this one as one that didn't really need anything fixed. I think the dents on the case are the reason this was in with the salvage box. So I think now it's time to move over to the 17-inch razor. Now, before we
Çalıştı
get doing
direkt.
anything too crazy on this one, I want to remove this bottom cover because it is missing 2 screws here, none over here. This one's loose, but all the rest look like they're here, but it's missing these ones. So I want to just open this up and make sure all the parts are there and there are no obvious problems. And let's face it, I mean, I do just want to open it up too. Okay, and let's see what it looks like on the inside. Wow, that is very dirty. Look at that. I mean, these heat sinks gotta be just totally plugged under here. Other than that, the good news is I don't see any liquid damage or any other issues except for here is one of the screws. It's a good
Oh,
thing I took this
no.
bottom case off. The screw rattling around here could have touched some points and caused some major issues.
Evet,
Let's
anlamayan yerden
see
vida
if there
çıktıysa
are
biraz
any more
tehlikeli
in
bu.
here. Oh,
Aa, bir tane daha
got
çıktı.
another one. Okay, I
Bu
think,
usta biri
and I
bakmış
hope
buna
we got
belli.
them all. Now let's get this cleaning done. Wow, look
Bir,
at
bir, bir, bir,
this.
bir ustam bakmış.
This is
Oo,
insane. I've
bu
done
ne?
very few laptop repairs, but this is definitely the most plugged laptop
bu
heatsink
ne?
I've ever seen. No wonder this thing was considered salvage. Look at that. Let's check the other one. Yep.
Oh
Look at that.
battaniye çıktı abi.
There's no question this laptop had a serious overheating issue. I actually want to make sure this all gets cleaned out. That's the keyboard right under there, so I got to make sure that none of this gets stuck down in there, even though it looks like it already is.
Bunu gördüm şimdi
So it
benim
wouldn't surprise
laptopu
me if this one is
üfleteyim
also having
bari
a
dur.
keyboard issue.
Biraz almıştım
Okay.
sırf bunun için.
Everything's gonna be okay. So all of this came out of just those two heat
Kardeş,
sinks.
bu
I bet
ne?
You're gonna go clean your laptop after this video.
Aynen abi,
So
aynen.
for any of you wondering where I got this lot of computers, I bought it from a website that sells liquidation goods from major retailers. And guess what I just found?
Ne buldun?
Yep, another screw.
Allah Allah. Nereden
Got
buluyorsun
some
ya
dust
bunları?
right there, dust down here. Also have quite a bit of dust right here, so we do need to give this a good cleaning.
Ama
And then
bayağı
we need to
termal
replace
pet
this
kullanmışlar
thermal
ha.
paste, and we can get that heatsink back on, the rest of it fully cleaned. Then we can put the motherboard in and see if it actually works.
Tertemiz oldu valla.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to install the perfect amount of thermal paste
Bak şimdi.
because we
Güzel
know
temizlemiş.
that's the real problem here. And there we go. Now we can put it all
Daha
back together,
sıkılır,
and with the perfect amount of
temizleniyor.
thermal paste, we can be sure that it's going to start right up. So if you look closely here, you can even see
Bas bas
this
bas bas bas.
dust and lint and hair all the way on the top side of the keyboard just because it was so packed with dirt in there. Okay, there's definitely more I could do, but I want to try and get this thing started up. I can do that later. Oh, I see. Oh, yeah, here we go. Good. Good. Account has been disabled.
Çalışıyor abi,
Has no
çalışıyor ya.
mouse.
Adam
Okay,
iki tane
so
şeye
that's gonna
tıklıyor
be the
ve
next
çalışıyor.
thing we have to figure out. Oh, we do have a touch display. That's cool. Let's go ahead and try a restart.
Yani kafayı yemek üzereyim.
Hey, it actually let me in. Okay. So since this seems to have an administrator password, I think what I want to do since we
Yani
actually
harbiden
are
adam
in
biraz daha
is
temizlese
try and
Windows
just
11
reinstall
olacaktı.
Windows into this laptop. But right now, this mouse isn't working. So I got to look at that first, and then let's just reinstall Windows and see if we can get a fresh install on this thing. And that was
Hiçbir şey
pretty easy to
yapmadı
find
ya.
the
Yani
problem
5
with the mouse.
ya 5 dakikalık iş değil de yani anlayın,
assuming that's
harbiden
what
5
it is.
dakikalık iş.
Now I have Windows fully installed. The mouse is working now that it's plugged in.
Bu arada mouse is working diyor ama kasıyor mouse.
And it's running at a cool 46 degrees Celsius when it's just here at idle. So this Razer laptop is fixed, but we gotta go back to that Lenovo we looked at earlier because I just noticed another problem. So before, when I had this plugged in, it seemed to be charging and working perfectly normally. Then I pulled the charger out and put it back in, and this is what happens. We just get a flash on the charger and that's it. So I'm gonna first try and turn it on, and let's see if that changes. Okay, so this all looks good, but we only have 30% on the battery. So let's try and plug this in now that it is started up. We get the same thing. So I think that's justification enough to open it up. Let's get this back off and see what it looks like on the inside. And with that back cover off, the first thing I notice is, I mean, first of all, this humongous lithium-ion
Bataryaya
battery,
bak,
but second of all, I see no
oha.
liquid damage or any other sort of damage.
Bu hangi laptoptu şey olarak? Bu sadece batarya olarak
Lenovo
İşlevini-
Yoga'ydı bu.
işlevini görüyor. Yok, Yoga da Yoga'nın hangi versiyonu acaba, işte o yüzden. Çünkü güçlü bir şey değil. Çünkü anakart şu.
Geri
Ben-
sarsana bir şey altında şey altın gösteriyor mu çıkarmadan hemen önce?
Zoomlamıyor.
Zoomlamasa ben de bakayım da. Ah be.
Çok kötü gözüküyor. Ama Powerbank Edition, yani cidden sadece batarya var, işlemci var. Ekran kartı yok. Büyük ihtimal içinde.
Battery, and
Ben
then I'll
başta
just
söylüyor muyum, sen kaçırdık onu?
noticed back in, and this is what happened. Charging and working. Just noticed another thing perfectly normally. Then I pulled the charger out and
En
put it back in,
başta.
and this is what happens.
Bunda
Just
bataryası
get a
ölmüş.
flash on the charger and that's it. So I'm gonna first try and turn it on, and let's see if that changes. Okay, so this all looks good, but we only have 30% on the battery. So let's try and plug this in now that it is started up. We get the same thing. So I think that's justification enough to open it up. Let's get this
Batarya,
back
bu da
off and see what it
batarya
looks like
abi.
on the inside. And with that back cover off, the first thing I notice is, I mean, first of all, this humongous lithium-ion battery.
Ya
but
batarya da
second of
ölünce
all, I
bütün
see
laptopu
no
at
liquid
çöpe
damage
daha
or
iyi
any
abi.
other sort of damage on this computer. So the first thing I'm going to do is disconnect the battery, and then I'll just reconnect it and try and charge it again and see if that changes anything. Let's see what happens when we try and plug it in without the battery plugged in. Okay.
Yoga
Actually
C970.
is
Merak
charging
ettim.
normally without the battery. See what
Yoga
happens when we plug the battery back in.
C970. 70 mi
Could
demiştin?
just have a faulty battery here.
940.
Okay. So
Ama bu
the
eski
battery is the
versiyon
first thing I
herhalde.
suspect. There's got to be some sort of charge controller that determines whether it's using AC power or battery power, and I'm
Evet, bu
wondering if
arada
that
harbiden
could
sadece
possibly be
yani
faulty.
iş
Also
PC'si
strange
tamamen.
how it worked fine for a while, and then after I unplugged it and plugged it back in, then it stopped working again. Let's
740.
check the battery
Anla ki.
driver. Here we go, batteries. This device is working properly.
Microsoft'a
Let's try
çok
and
güvenmem
update
o
the driver.
konuda. Windows'ta
Now I
yani
will re-enable it.
bataryayı updateledim
Now
az
let's see
önce.
if that will get our charger to work. And same thing.
Bataryayı mı updateledi az önce, bana mı öyle geldi?
So at this point I don't think we have a
Yok
software
şimdi
issue.
adam söylemişti, şimdi yazılımla ilgili çok şey bilmiyorum demişti, şimdi hakkında yemeyelim ama
I think it's probably got to be a hardware issue with the battery, but I don't know of any good way to test that. So next I'm going to look up and see if I can figure out
Neyse
where on this board
bire mi indiririz
the
geçer.
battery charger controller is and see if we can do any
Yok
basic
arkadaşlar,
tests on
batarya
that, at least see if
güncellenmiyor,
there's any
hayır.
shorts on it or anything. I'm also going to look over this with a thermal camera and just see if there's anything that's getting super hot. Okay, now with that set up, let's plug it in and see what happens.
Hiçbir şey değişmedi. Aa, orada kaçak var. Kısa devre.
There's a significant warm spot there. So 107,
Tükür oraya.
which is pretty warm. It's kind of right under these connectors right here. So let's take this network card off and check all these little components around here and see if we can figure out what exactly is causing it to heat up like that. It's not like it's super hot, but it is warm enough that it kind of makes me wonder if there's anything going on there. So we possibly have a problem right down here in one of these little guys. It also could be something coming from the other side of the board. I'm gonna get in and check some of these little components right here and see if we have any obvious shorts. The other thing I notice is it looks like somebody has had this board out. It looks like there used to be some sort of warranty sticker here, and that screw has also been tampered with, it looks like. Same with this one. So now I was just inspecting this USB-C charge port.
Lehim yok. Abi. Biri ellemiş bu arada.
And I noticed what looks like a little problem right here. So you can see part of the circuit right here.
Abi,
this line goes back here.
Yok.
But it doesn't actually connect right here onto this pin.
Sevmiyor
So
abi.
I'm wondering if maybe that's the only issue we have here. I think the first thing we need to do is solder a wire from here onto this trace somewhere, and then we'll see if that'll work.
Aa, kısa devre.
Okay, and now that that's fixed, let's give it a test and see what it does. Now we have the battery plugged in. We have this little circuit fixed. Let's see what happens. Come on.
Öldü. Öldü.
Ah, no. This little component right here could be causing a problem.
Bir tane de kısa devresi var ama sanki.
On the other side of this board. So I think what I want to do is just get this board out so I can check the other side of the board and just make sure there's nothing obvious going on there. And this just shows that obviously someone's already been in here trying to fix this board, as this chip has fresh new thermal paste, even though they didn't clean off all the old thermal paste.
Değil mi? O çip iptal. O çip iptal. Ne yapmış? Ne yapmış? Forja koyup yumrukla mı tokatlamış? Bu ne oğlum? Bükmüş lan.
This is all over. It's all kinked up over here. Let's see what we're getting ourselves into.
Yumruk yumruğa maça çıkmış direkt.
Actually doesn't look too bad. So there's really not much going on the back side of this board. There's these little components over here. I already checked those and those are all fine. So we go back to this guy right here. So let's check this one out and just see if there's anything obvious going on it. Now, in the process of looking at this little LJ component, I found something very interesting. I found the controller, and it is this guy right here. And I noticed that it has some very interesting solder joints. If you look right along the solder joints, you can see a lot of them aren't even connected to the pads. So what I'm going to do to fix this is just put some flux on these pads and then bring my small micro pencil soldering iron along here.
Ahmet çok teşekkür ederim 6. ayın. Cihan 7. ay. Finidok 13. ay. Lantern 12. ay.
Aligned and soldered on. If you notice these
Biri dişlemiş cidden.
That doesn't matter because they're both connected to this same pad. Now that's all clean, we do have one other issue to worry about, and that is this little chip right here. This is the one that gets warm. It doesn't get like super warm, but it definitely gets way hotter than anything around it. So since I can't find this chip anywhere, there's only 2 markings on it, and I don't know where to find it. Since there is another one of these chips right here, first what I'm gonna do is remove this chip, see if it charges. And then if it does not charge, then I'm going to take the other chip from the other port and put it on right up here. Let's plug it into the
çalışması çok mümkün mü?
And see if that
power delivery çipini çıkartıp. Değil.
No.
Yani bu mümkün olabilir bu arada.
Let's plug it in and see if it charges. No.
Demek ki ikisine de ihtiyacım var.
Same thing as before. So I was able to find the data sheet for the USB-C controller. So let's do a little bit of testing here. I want to see if we have AC power in. And then I also want to see if this controller is making the power for the rest of the board, like this 3v3 right here and this 3v3 right here.
Çok uğraştırdı.
So the first thing we need to check is to see if we have AC power in.
Alperen çok teşekkür ederim. Canımsın. En iyi abonem sana. Çok uğraş abi bu.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Bir şey soracağım. Adam tamam mantığını anladım. Az önce bir şey söyledi. Şurada şey dedi. Şu ikisi buna dokunuyor. O yüzden ikisi de aynı yere gidiyor. Dokunması çok umurumda değil. Onları ayrı yapmazlardı o zaman gibi hissediyorum ya. Öyle mi? Aynı yere gidiyor diye tak diye bağlayabilir miyiz? Bağlayamayız gibi hissediyorum.
2, 3, 4, 5,
Abi PCB'deki
6,
akışı da şey gözüküyor.
2.9 volts.
Birleşik gözüküyor. O yüzden
Birleşik
öyle
mi?
yapmış olabilirler.
And 2.9
Bağlayabilir miyiz?
volts.
Yo, bilmiyorum işte o yüzden
As far as I
chat'e
know,
soruyorum.
that's accurate. I don't have a number for
Duruma
AC
göre abi
in.
PCB'yi nasıl
Let's check
tasarladıklarına
number
göre.
5, which is a 3v3 out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3.3 volts. And number 9, 6, 7, 8, 9. And 3.3 volts. Let's just go ahead and check the V bus on 13 and 14. And there we have 20 volts. So based on that testing, this chip, unless there's something I'm missing, this chip
Peki
seems to be
Şahin
doing
çok
its
teşekkür
job.
bu arada
It's
abone
taking
olduğu için.
voltage in
Canımsın. En iyi
and
haberem.
putting
Sana hoş
voltage out
geldin.
on the correct pins. And after looking at the
Video
numbers on
Louis
this chip,
Rossman'a
this
bağladı.
is our charge controller. And this is the pinout for anyone that's interested. And with our black probe on ground, let's check for a V-bus 19.9.
Tamam bu doğru.
Let's check for input voltage 19.9 and 19.9. So by checking this charge controller, I've learned that it does get voltage from
Her şey
the
doğru.
USB-C port when you have the USB-C
Demek ki
cable
elektrik...
plugged
Aa, bak
in.
adam diyor ki bu arada hani elektrik geliyor. Yani demek ki buraya kadar çipe kadar geliyor. Buradan gidemiyor.
It
Sen de
also does
Mitre'in
see the
çok teşekkür
battery,
ederim
the
15.
battery
için.
voltage when it's
Canımsın.
plugged
En iyi
in.
haberem. Sana hoş
Now, the
geldin.
hard part is that I don't have a schematic for the rest of this board, so I can test the few pins that I know to test on this chip, but without a schematic telling me
Ha,
where the
adam
other components are that I
bunun
need to be testing,
skematiklerini
that
bilmediği
are
için
in
bir bok
line with
yapamayacak,
this charge
anla ki.
circuit, there's just really not much more I can do, unfortunately. So then I asked myself the question, should I replace the battery on this? I did look up on eBay and I can get a used battery just like this for 15 bucks, so I'm gonna get that. I don't like to just buy parts and throw parts at something, but in this case I don't have a lot of other options because I can only test so many things without a full schematic.
Geldi batarya.
I really hope this works.
Taktı,
After
çalıştı.
all that stuff I've
Taktı,
done to the
çalıştı.
motherboard, all the testing we've done. Unfortunately, we're kind of up against a wall since we have
Taktın,
no
açıldı.
schematics. Let's plug it in and see what happens.
Bom. Ah be. 15 dolar çöpe gitti. Chat'in bir aylık yemeği gitti çöpe.
Oh, look at this.
Bu ne? Çalışıyor.
Charging now.
Chat
I
yemeği
unplugged the
bırakın.
battery
Kus
and
lan
then
geri.
just plugged it in when it was
Kus kus
on,
geri kus.
and now it's charging. That is weird. While I let this one charge, let's get back to that Acer Nitro 5. The keyboard has come in, so let's
klavye
get that
gelmiş.
replaced and see if that fixes that one. So I'm just gonna start pressing from over here and just go all the
Vallahi
way
çalışıyor.
across, and every single key works
Let's
just
go.
fine. So this Acer Nitro 5 is totally fixed. Obviously I do have to set it up and test it some more for any
Bir laptop dışında hiçbirisinin problem olmaması mesela bu arada. Derde girdim şu anda. Bir laptop dışında hiçbiriyle uğraşmadı.
thing else that's wrong, but the keyboard part
5
is
dakika
definitely
maksimum.
fixed.
Bir de bana
So
düzü
it's
biz
still
diyorsun oturduğun
charging at
yerden para
1.5
kazanıyorsun diye.
amps, 19.7 volts. So I think next what I'm going to do is unplug this and plug it back in several times and just see if it keeps charging how it should.
Emir,
So
çok
even though
teşekkür
this
ikinci
thing is
için
currently
canımsın.
charging
En iyi
and
haberler.
I
Sanırım
like
hoş
to see
geldin.
that, I'm going to unplug the charger because I want to see if it's going to keep charging when I plug it back in.
Bozulur bu ya. Aynen bak bozuldu.
No.
Yok. 15 dolar çöp oldu.
Yes,
Ha ha.
So let's try what we did before. Let's unplug the battery and then plug the battery
Harbiden
back in.
çalışıyor bu arada öyle yapınca.
And now it's charging.
Bu ne kadar aptalca
Now, I
bir
know I've got a lot
error.
of really smart people that watch my videos, so if you think you know what the problem is, put them down in the comments below.
Bu adam dedi bu neden olabilir abi? Kabloda sıkıntı olamaz çünkü yeni bir pil aldı. Kablo da değişiyor pille.
And if I
Pili değiştirdi ama pilden dolayı olamaz ki, pili değiştirdi.
see some good ideas down there that I can try. Maybe I'll make an update video. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see an update video. Also, if you like this type of video, you'll probably like the video where I bought a gaming laptop that was destroyed by a repair shop and I tried to fix it. I'll put the link for that right up on your screen now so you can come hang out with me over there.
Damn.
I bought the